To order, please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome to everybody, and welcome to Dr. Clausen for your first official meeting. So looking forward to hearing the information you have to share with us today. We will start out with nobody addressing the board, correct? Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the meeting held on July 8th, 2024, please?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Those are approved. Can I get a motion and a second for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is approved. We don't have any conflicts of interest today. Can I get a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The consent agenda is approved. And now we have the reports of the president.
All right, thank you very much. We have two reports for you today. We will start with a report on the summer 2024 camps and activities. And I'd like to welcome Emily Zilkett, our Director of Admissions, to come. And oh, actually, Megan, I'm sorry, totally forgot. Our Vice President for Enrollment Management and Student Affairs, Megan Fisher, will be giving an update for us. Sorry about that, Megan.
We're pinch hitting here today, and I've recruited another individual, our Dean of Trades, Jason Merritt, since a couple of summer academies fall under his division of academics, and I thought he'd be best. So Emily, I'm obviously not Emily. She was unable to be with us today, so we just wanted to update you on the recruitment and career exploration opportunities that we provide to middle school and high school students throughout the summer at Southeast Tech. And so we had a lot going on this year. We've hosted middle school camp med is what it's called. And you can tell by those pictures there, I love those pictures, because look at those middle school students just like right in there in our Surge Tech simulation lab with our instructor, which is fun. And we never have a problem getting a volunteer for the sonography. They love getting in there, hands-on, exploring those options, learning what we offer besides nursing, right? And becoming a doctor in healthcare. And so that's really fun to get them in there. So you can see that we partnered with Sanford Health and the CTE Academy with the Sioux Falls School District. And we had 20 students, 2 cohorts, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. And that was for 4 days. They were at the CTE Academy exploring their options and doing hands-on activities. And then they would come over to Southeast Tech, and Sanford Health hosted them at the field house in the research center. So that's always a fun camp. And then we offered an engineering camp June 3rd through the 6th. So June was really busy on our campus with middle school and high school students. The engineering camp is geared more towards high school students, and Stockwell Engineers and the American Council of Engineering Companies sponsor that. And we have lots of engineering firms that provide a lot of swag that the students get. So really getting them in there to look at land surveying science and civil engineering technology on day one. And you can look at the programs that, or the activities that they did. We have a lot of students when they come into civil engineering technology that consider or add on land surveying or vice versa. So a lot of students double major for us. And the industry sponsors were great at providing guest speakers as well. And I don't know if everyone's driven that 41st Street diverging diamond here in Sioux Falls. I actually have not. I avoided it. I took a different route one day, but I'm sure I'll have to go through it. But one of the engineers on that project came and spoke to the students, so it was really timely, and I heard that was a great presentation. And then architectural engineering, so our faculty were taking these students on different days and doing activities on campus. And then days 3 and 4, they were able to go to a Graco manufacturing tour here in town. So a lot of hands-on activities and being able to get out to different projects within the community for engineering. And then June 13th, we hosted a USD high school health camp. So the students, grades 9 through 12, are actually staying at USD in the residential hall for a week, and then they come up to Sioux Falls and Southeast Tech for a day. And for all these programs, our admissions office gets in front of them too, right? They're exploring the options, start to plant that seed about what does it look like and what is that timeline for planning for college. We always tell students, well, we let them know what programs they should really be applying for when they're juniors. Some of our programs that get full so that they can get on the list. And, but really by December of their senior year, we're always saying you should be accepted into the program, into the college that you want to go to. Then you should be applying for financial aid, getting those things together, applying for scholarships. And so letting them know as freshmen, sophomores, starting them thinking in that process is important. And Sanford Health, again, was the sponsor for this one and provided a Q&A session as well. And then the Avera High School camp was the next day, and that's with Avera Health, obviously, and they were able to go to the hospital and explore different career areas. So that's what these pictures represent here. You can see them at the hospital with their green on and talking to the Sanford employees and getting that hands-on experience and shadow experience in those different areas. So also a great opportunity. And this is the third year we've hosted Dakota Dreams Career Exploration Camp. So that is a partnership through the Board of Regents and the Board of Technical Education, and it's a free camp initiative. So this year it expanded. Our partner is with USD. In the past, it's always been 1 week camp. This year they expanded and we had 2 camps. So 100 students on that June 16th through the 20th, and these are rising 7th and 8th graders. So again, still very excited to explore and participate. And then 80 students on June 23rd through the 27th. So those students come to Sioux Falls, Southeast Tech for a day, and then we set up industry tours. And the pathways that we look at are the ones that we can work with USD on. So that's why you see accounting, media design, LPN, respiratory therapy, and medical assisting. And then Sanford Health provided tours to the research lab again. And then the students always have fun at Lawrence and Schiller on the creative side, seeing how a full-fledged marketing firm runs in town here.
I think it's the 5th year that we did this AGC, Construction Academy, and it's a relationship where AGC works with employers and rising 10th or 11th and 12th graders can go and become employed and work full-time and get on-the-job experience at the same time while they're taking 5 college credits from us. So it's kind of interesting. They are full-time 40-hour-a-week employees, and part of that responsibility is certain days of the week they're with us and certain days of the week they're out in the industry. And so you can see they earn those college credits as part of it and also complete the employment, and it kind of gives them a real good introduction to the career and a good start on our program. And then for the first year, we were able to do a similar horticultural career academy, and that was with, again, the same students, full-time. That particular thing, they take 3 credits from us in our horticulture area, and they do a similar thing where what they did is a block with us at the beginning, and then a check-in in the middle, and then a follow-up at the end of it. And that particular one, a little bit of a unique relationship was with Weller Brothers on that one. They created a registered National Youth Apprenticeship out of it, and so they actually got that apprenticeship there in conjunction with Harrisburg High School. So I think there was a little video clip on that showing some of the things that they did. Sound good?
This did work beforehand, so I tried it twice.
Yeah, she's snaring. So something's typed in everything. It's awesome. No. Cut that. But that can be provided to you. So. Yeah, so it's a registered apprenticeship, which they do in conjunction with Harrisburg High School, and this is kind of the first part of it. And they work with Weller Brothers, the same part-time with us and part-time with them.
And then finally, of course, we have some dual credit programs going on during the summer besides the academies that we just shared. And Harrisburg High School and Brandon Valley each had some CNA students that we worked with this summer. And then the Sioux Falls School District College Start, this is kind of exciting because you've probably heard about this, kind of that LPN track, fast track for students. And so we're really happy that 2 students, we're seeing them, they're going to be seniors, so they're going to finish their allied health certificate this fall, and they took some credits through the summer as well with us, and then spring of their senior year, they'll be in the LPN program. So they're really getting that fast track, and they'll be in industry very soon working as LPNs. So that's exciting. And then we have 4 more students from the Sioux Falls School District who are going to be starting that College Start program as well. So I'll stand by for any questions. Oh, I forgot the slide. See, I didn't prepare this, so.
We'll give you a second chance.
Okay, but this is just highlighting some of our things coming up here this fall that we host as well. So it continues. It's just nice to see that we're not completely closed for the summer, right? And the students are off, and so we try to get as many of those students, middle school and high school, out to our campus, and they were fun events, and hopefully we see some of them come through our admissions office soon and get them to Southeast Tech.
Thank you.
So will you explain to me how your students get selected for your camps? Is it an application process? Do the schools help the kids, or how does that work?
Well, with the camps that we partner with the CTE Academy, we work closely with their counselor down there, and we actually host the application on our website, and we communicate to students. And we have it on our website. There's opportunities to make announcements through public forums, obviously social media. As parents start looking in the spring for camps, we just put it out there, and people sign up. And then through the Dakota Dreams, it's through the Dakota Dreams, the BOR, that they get those registrations, and those students are registering through USD. And usually that's why they expanded this year, because they are free camps. They're great opportunities. The kids get to experience a lot and see a lot. And so they expanded not just our partnership with USD, but other technical colleges and universities expanded to 2 weeks as well. So I hope the funding continues for that, because that provides a lot of students who might not be able to go to camp the opportunity to go to camp.
How do you see these programs expanding? Do you have any other camps that you're on your wish list and your dream list for a few years out, or?
Yeah, so we have a lot of opportunities throughout the school year as well, and we work with the CTE Academy closely and their personnel. We've had horticulture camps in the past. It kind of evolves a little bit. So engineering, our faculty have been very involved, and we work closely with our industry partners. And so as they say, everybody I think is wanting more middle school, and then we need to get our faculty back into the labs, and sometimes they're not on contract, but they're good to come back and do that. So that's why you see a lot of the camps happening in June. And then those academies happening all year round.
Anybody else have any questions? I have a couple of friends whose middle schoolers have gone to the Dakota Dreams and
Good.
have come home and just been so excited. I mean, everything from, yes, they got to go to the zoo, and they got to stay in a college dorm, but they also got to see, and interact with people that they never would have And so I just think, I wish that that would have been around when my kids were younger, because what a great opportunity for them. And then in addition, like you said, just trying to get kids hands-on things. And people can read about something in a book, or they can know somebody who does this career, but for them to actually see the facilities that they would be learning in, or get their hands on that mannequin, you know, and
Right.
whatever it might be.
I know some of you were able to go through our simulation center, so
Yes.
the middle school students especially, they're just like right in. I mean, the high school students are well, but sometimes they're a little bit more reserved, but those middle schoolers are
Yeah.
like
Yep, let me add it.
been
Yep.
around, so.
Yeah, so I just think what a great opportunity, and hopefully as we continue with our industry partners, we can add, you know, maybe it's culinary, or maybe it's, you know, other industries that are looking at bringing, you know, additional camps to their students as well, or even just something that's like a miscellaneous, you know, or like one day you do this, one day you, so it's more of an exploration versus a dedicated, this is the theme, because some people may benefit from something like that, and getting to try a bunch of different things. But overall, I'm so excited. I'm glad that our students in the district and the community have the opportunity to come to campus, but also just have the opportunity to learn about their future too. So,
Sure.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion and a second to acknowledge the summer 2024 camps and activities reports, please?
Second. See on that one, didn't I?
I have a second and a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. That is approved. Thank you.
You guys got to pick it up.
Yeah.
I think if we're learning anything, it's just how much that Emily's like the linchpin of everything. She's not here. Next up, with the conclusion of one academic year and with us going to the next year, we thought it was important to update you on where we're at with our current strategic plan and all the good work and hard work that we have been doing as a team over the last year. And so I'd like to introduce Jackie Palmer, who's our Director of Institutional Techniques.
All right, thank you, Dr. Klossman. We have finished our second of 3 years in the strategic plan, and I have been charged with kind of summarizing all the activities of the folks on campus, and I wanted to give you kind of a high-end look at that. Obviously, all the details would take us forever if we were here, and so I'll be using my notes quite a bit to kind of refer to some of those stats. First of all, since Bob couldn't be here, I asked him to do a president's message. Basically, he's going to say the same thing I'm going to echo here. That is a group effort of committees that were aligned with those 6 priorities, that are doing the work, that are reporting it out in our Watermark platform, so that we can look and see how far we've come toward that goal. And so he does say that it's not an easy task to summarize, and I will say that as well. So first of all, our committee organization, this is just a graphic with a purple box around the areas that really were reporting out progress updates. So that top row of 6 green circles are those 6 strategic priorities. And then we align different committees across campus underneath those. You'll see that academic excellence has quite a few there, so there was a lot of folks involved in updating for that area. Partnerships had civic engagement involvement. Access and marketing and awareness were kind of their own departments, and so they had subcommittees kind of advising them. And then we had the culture group with campus climate as well as PD. And then finally, student support, which also involved the Academic Resource Center. So those folks entered into a platform we call Watermark, which consolidates all of those updates, and then I can export that down and prepare a strategic plan update report in Word, which currently is sitting at about 80 pages. So you did not want to see that at this meeting. So we'll just start with partnerships, which is our first strategic priority. So coming up with the completion bars, this is just looking at the tactics under each goal and averaging them. And it's somewhat subjective in some areas as to how far they've come. If there are more metrics in the tactics, then we're able to use those to create those bars, but these are a little bit more on the subjective side. So I'm just going to do a few notable mentions under each goal. And first of all, the folks that were really had the input into this one would be Foundation Department, the Civic Engagement Subcommittee, and then academics and the high school partnerships portion as well toward the end goal. So first goal with the relationships with industry partners, we have 32 advisory boards, and so our faculty are getting those folks involved. We have Tech Council, which brings an industry perspective to budget. Our campaign Next brought in about 17 new donors in this 2-year period, as well as would probably come over 25, which I believe was the goal, to have over 25 new stakeholders. So when you include the Build Dakota new whole stakeholders, it would definitely be over 25. Legislative breakfasts are in there as well, so all of those are relationships with industry partners. Our new partner would be Amazon, so that's a notable mention for us. In goal 2 with the housing, you'll see that that one is at 0%. Recent progress with campus master planning with ISG, I think will help us expand housing and improve that student experience. Whether we can get that accomplished in the next year, at the end of the 3-year plan, it might need to move into the next strategic plan as well. In goal 3, these are increasing our financial support, so broadening that out. Campaign Next has met and surpassed 2 of the 4 goals. And so the ones that they have met and surpassed would be the student scholarships and financial support for students, and the capital projects and renovations. The 2 that we're still working on to meet the goal that was set, and we're close, we're just not there yet, would be the improvements to access opportunity programs, as well as annual unrestricted use of funds. And so Build Dakota was a major reason that the student scholarships and financial support one has been met. That has really moved the needle, where about 59 of the Build Dakota sponsors have sponsored all of the 164 recipients in the last year. Goal 4 would be the community engagement activities. We have service to community STC days in October and April are really our 2 big months for that push. We've seen a 228% growth in service hours between fall 22 and fall 23. Now, some of that might be due to better tracking. That tracking forum will continue to get that to be able to track the type, who's doing the hours, is student side, staff side, faculty side, and then where that's happening. And then finally, goal 5, pathways. So this would be pathways, leading to Southeast Tech as well as away. So we have Avera, Classrooms to Careers, Teach While Strive. Some of the same ones that Megan have up on her slide would be some of those pathway initiatives we've worked pretty well on this past 2 years. And then dual admission partnerships with Northern State and School of Mines. This will allow students to enroll at Southeast Tech, complete their AAS while doing courses with those partner universities. So it'll help students when they're exiting and going other places. For our dual credit, we have a couple stats on that. Between 21-22 and 22-23, we had an 8.7% growth in credits for dual credit as well as concurrent. And that rate has increased then between 22 and 23, 24, it's 10.4. So I have a little bit higher growth rate in the past year. All right, academic excellence has 4 goals, and we have enhancing that dynamic, diverse academic environment as our first one. The groups that really worked hard in documenting what was going on with this one would be our campus culture, our online ed, our assessment team, faculty development, as well as career enrichment. So all of those folks contributed. So in our first goal, we do have a great setup for smart classrooms. As we've reported before, we can high flex students in to participate remotely as well as be in the classroom. And so that's allowed us to have more of those flexible learning formats and keep expanding that in the future. So we code all of our classes as either high flex, online, hybrid, evening, or accelerated. So we have different modalities for different student needs. We did pilot competency-based education this past year, so that's another delivery style where students can progress a little bit faster at their own pace. co-curricular learning, hoping to get more involved in that as we move forward. We had a great first literary magazine published called Our Story this year, spearheaded by a counselor in English as well as digital media. And it was really fun to read those stories because those students come from all over the campus. They're not just media students contributing to the literary magazine, they're from all over. And so kudos to those folks for that extracurricular opportunity for students this last year. We also did pilot remote learning days, RLD we're going to call that. So our online ed committee was really instrumental in helping provide training as well as best practices for what would we do if we needed to educate remotely for weather purposes or whatever it might be. Career enrichment, PD funds, did help with that investment in faculty. We ask all employees to do 20 hours of professional development per year. Our faculty have to do a little bit more than that. They have 150 clock hours they have to get every 5 years to renew their credential. And so we've put some funds aside that faculty can apply for in paying for some of those training opportunities that will help them advance their programs. We also purchased a Go-To-Knowledge platform for this coming year. That's on-demand 24/7 webinars and recorded events. For example, you can get a badge in artificial intelligence, for the classroom. And then you can do that on your own time. So that will help people with their busy schedules that I don't have to be Thursday from 3 to 5. I have to be here doing this learning. They can do it on their own time. So we're interested in seeing how many people take advantage of that this coming year. Our assessment team has really stepped up to the plate with anything dealing with continuous improvement of academic programs. We have 9 programs in program review this year. So they're doing an in-depth assessment, SWOT analysis of what they're doing, what they could be doing better. That'll culminate in December with presentations that they'll do for academic and campus leadership, as well as looking at their program learning outcomes and just really everything dealing with their program, from their advisory boards who could be there to surveys that we have as well. And then we're always on that reaccreditation path with a lot of our programs, mainly in health, although we've expanded in some other areas. In 22-23, we had nursing, dental, and vet tech reaccredited. And in 23-24, business did a midterm compliance. And we'll move forward into 24-25 with additional. Goal 4 is the instruction and mentoring. We've got a pretty robust training program and credentialing program for our new instructors. But I think the one on this that I'm really interested in seeing this coming year would be the recognition program that the campus culture group is putting forth for fall. And that would be just, recognizing the exceptional innovative teaching. So I don't know that we've done as good a job on that end as just getting people prepared, and they are doing a good job. Now let's recognize them for their service and innovativeness. And then we did have a great faculty evaluation performance appraisal built on the 4 pillars of professional development, academic excellence in your teaching, service to STC, and service to the community. And so our academic deans and associate deans do evaluate yearly our faculty on those 4 pillars. So it's important that we're tracking all of the PD that they do and the service activities so that they have that evidence during their appraisal. Access is our 3rd one. This one doesn't have as many subcommittees under it, so it did fall on the shoulders of the Access and Workforce Opportunity Department and the committee that helps, or I would say maybe an advisory group that helps her with that. And so we have 6 goals under there. The first one is dealing with the campus employee, or conducting employee and student non-discrimination training. Well, before training, it was important to benchmark where people were at. And so that's one of the activities that they're still working on before pursuing more in-person cultural training and non-discrimination training. And the Go-To Knowledge platform I mentioned earlier does have some titles there that will help with that. Although they've done a great job with book clubs, presenting at new teacher training, institutional effectiveness days, as well as kickoff. For Goal 2, increasing the academic support for English language learners, exploring a lot of partnerships with Department of Labor, Lutheran Social Services, Reach Literacy, and the Promising Futures Fund to help pay for busing and dual credit costs for students. This is all about making connections here. And one of the best ways that they have found for reaching those early English language learners is at our Jumpstart, which is coming up very soon. Just making those appearances in the orientation sessions to say, hey, I'm here to help you. Lets them put that face and name together and know that, okay, they do mean it. They do want to help me. So we're really excited to see those students come in a couple weeks. In Goal 3, we are working on streamlining the admissions process. We recently have been on a call with AccuPlacer to look at some ESL assessments for assessing English language proficiency. So those would be additional tests beyond what we give students right now. And working with them in looking at what those benchmarks will be and identifying and helping those students so that we can assess their readiness and get them the supports that they need. Goal 4, a lot of data collection and management. We can always improve in this area. We do student satisfaction surveys as well as getting data from LSS, Lutheran Social Services, and on the immigrant, refugee, and multilingual populations. In Goal 5, we're developing and supporting some community liaisons. Their peer mentorship program is currently going under some redesign with Lost and Found to build an ambassador program. So that's the goal there. And Access and Workforce Opportunity has done over 50 community-facing non-Southeast Tech presentations in the community in the past 2 years, just to highlight Southeast Tech and how we can provide them access, or how we can get access to the underserved. And then finally, funding. Access and Workforce Opportunity has done a lot with the foundation. 7 grant applications in the last 2 years and 5 awarded. Foundation grants, the Big Idea Indigenous Access to Education Grant, $100,000, United Way, Suter Foundation, and Humanities. So lots going on there in the grant world for access. Culture. Okay, campus culture climate group. We do have HR having a lot of tactical pieces in this one as well. And so we have that group kind of dividing themselves into 3 subgroups called Culture Creators, Engagement Energizers, and Recognition Revolutionizers. And so within that group, they are interested in developing a communication tool and a plan. It'll just kind of outline some timelines and methods for delivering communications to all employees. Recent surveys identified things such as collaboration and communication being a couple areas to improve on. And so they're really hitting that communication one hard. HR is working on job descriptions, evaluating those annually, and also the postings that go out for jobs, and making sure that the STC way values are always stated, the mission, vision, values are always in those things that we put out there. We're trying to hold 2 events per semester at some of our campus events as well as off campus. We've done things such as comedians, Amazing Race, Thanksgiving potlucks, bingo, bowling. You know, again, trying to make it a nice place to come and work besides do your work. And they're asking for a budget to fund these events for next year as well. The annual reviews of job descriptions, as I mentioned earlier, we also, what came out of that were some department checklists for onboarding to help people who are new kind of get accustomed to Southeast Tech. And again, maybe extending those 4 pillars into other performance appraisals across campus, the first service to community, Southeast, PD, and role specific, the job that you do in your role. And then finally, the employer recognition, I mentioned earlier, that piece is in here. So a few of the tactics over They are in a couple different priorities, and the recognition program is here as well. Goal 6, as soon as the salary study is finished that HR is doing, they'll look more at what plans might be for compensation and non-monetary incentives, which is goal 6. Marketing and awareness has 3 goals. This one dealing with a lot of the brand identity and distinguishing our target audiences. So initially you're going to have to redefine those audiences and see what tactics work to reach them, and then what metrics and methods will be used. So a few things that have happened in the marketing world. They've done some optimization of the website, search engines, and also ADA accessibility. And although I'm not familiar with the score, they have a consistent 94, so that must mean good with the ADA. A branding standards manual, signage and wraps across campus, clings, monograms, and they've also done a lot of promotion of students like that are in the Build Dakota program and using them as ambassadors. There's been 40 articles and stories on the web and social media. That kind of goes along with goal 2, utilizing that brand identity and storytelling tactics. It's best to use students and maybe where they're working out there in the field, so you see them in the world they're gonna live in after they graduate. And so they've done a good job in making sure that they're portraying students in that light. We've also got several industry partnership articles, Vet Tech with Humane Society, trying to kind of match up some of those programs with those industries as well. We've had recent stories on a 3-gen family, non-traditional students making career changes. So again, reaching that market. And then finally, they have enrollment campaigns. They also market for new programs. So those are 2 areas that are really strong for that 3rd goal, creating and implementing that integrated approach. And they've recently purchased what's called a Merit online platform that helps distribute news releases to legislators, high schools. 348 pieces or press releases have gone out to 3,814 zip codes. So it must be how they distribute is by zip code. And in those efforts, the media placements and PR effort side that were tracked on the web, they had a 63% increase from 21-22 to 23-24, so that's over a 2-year period in the tracking of media placements and PR efforts on the web. So it helps them get some statistics there. And then finally, we have the student support piece, which is the Student Success and the Academic Resource Center. Basically, it could align each of these goals, number 1 with our product called Navigate, which is for our holistic coordinated care and getting that off the ground in fall of 22 with training, and a steady increase in data points that show it is being utilized, appointments with students, communication tools to reach them. They respond by text, so we need to have a platform that's going to help with that. Alerts, all of those have gone up. And we did start the progress report feature, I believe that was in the spring, and that saw a 77% participation by faculty, so it'd be adjunct and full-time. And so all of that's helping with that holistic coordinated care, where you've got the student, you've got their academic advisor, as well as their student success advisor, all kind of on the same page and knowing what that plan is for the student and their success. Our Academic Resource Center in Goal 2, that has really taken off since the appointment of a director who can, be there really managing that along. And so the data touch points for this show 108% growth from fall 23 to spring 24, with check-ins, one-on-one tutoring, workshops, study tables, and all of that due to the training that we give the tutors now and the strategies to reach those English language learners, and then really getting out into some of the other buildings with study tables and agency tutoring. Goal 3, the environmental support piece, just getting students connected with community and wellness resources. We do have the STC Campus Cupboard But getting them connected with some of those transportation assistance, housing assistance as well is important in realizing this goal. We do have an emergency fund with the foundation. It's needs-based to help students continue school if they feel like they don't have the money to do so. 5 grants were awarded in 22-23, 18 in 23-24, and in this past year, that totaled $7,173. And finally, personal counselor, we had a move from a contractual employee to a full-time employee for this coming year. So that should help us with that goal for developing and improving support for students' physical, mental, and emotional well-being. Also the Lost and Found Partnership. We did have a question, persuade, refer training, QPR training in May, and that went over really well with our employees, and they would like more of that follow-up this coming year. So we're interested in doing further programming with that. Also like programming with students' families. So we are trying to reach them as well so that they're able to come to some of our events and bring their kids. So that's kind of a quick look at our 6 areas. Where we go from here, we'll need to present kind of the short version, maybe a little shorter than this, to campus at kickoff next Wednesday. But our plan is also to have a flip book where the consumers can interact with it on the website. So that would be a little bit more detailed than this. And then a long, detailed report, that's the 80-page one, for internal posting. And we'll see how many people open and read the 80 pages. Flipbook, I think, will be a nice addition. We've never done that before, so that we can get a little bit more condensed, easier to read version out there. I'll take any questions.
I had a question about the college credit. So obviously those colleges want to make sure topics covered meet their course outline standards.
Is this the dual credit, concurrent credit? So our teachers work with those high school teachers to make sure everything, they're using the same syllabus, the same textbooks, same curriculum. So yeah, that is extra work for our instructors to make sure that consistency is there.
I just was curious how they accepted credit based on class hours, whatever.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yep.
So excuse me, I did see in the minutes where you did hire that new health counselor, and you explained a little bit, but will you clarify for me, is that position solely for students, or is it also for staff?
I
That may
think
not be
it's
in your
just-
wheelhouse, I'm sorry.
Is it for staff? I don't,
No,
yeah.
we had a counselor that we contacted with for the past several years. We brought her on full-time employee. She is a student counselor.
Student only, okay. Okay, thank you.
I don't know if any staff has ever tried to see her, but that's a great question.
I just had a few questions. You mentioned the Our Story magazine. I'm just curious if that's online anywhere or if that was only a physical copy. Do you know?
No, it was online. I'm trying to remember where I saw that. If it was on a social media post, I believe is where I saw it, but we could certainly.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind sending a link, I would love to take a look at that, just because I think it's a cool project. And then you mentioned under priority 2 that there's several, I think you said 9 programs are in review. And I'm just curious, some of the things that when we're reviewing those, are we also looking at things like the demand for that program in the community? What are the average wages that are being earned? And then like maybe even a listing of who are employing students who graduate with this, because those could be future partners that we haven't tapped into or we haven't reached out to. So I'm just curious if that's part of what's evaluated.
Yeah, those are all in there. So we're using a product called Lightcast to do some of that, looking at wages, and you can narrow it down to the region. You can look at the 25th percentile, 50th percentile, 75th. For Sioux Falls, you can go statewide. So kind of looking at that demand piece as well as our stats on retention, enrollment, as well as our graduate placement, making sure that we're kind of looking at that holistic picture of all of that. And, as well as ROI and, how much does a program cost versus what are they going to be making when they leave.
Yeah, and I know that's one of the indicators that the state board is looking at as well. So I was assuming that was part of that process, but just wanting to make sure.
Yeah, and in some initial conversations with Corey, we even talked about maybe putting some of those indicators into that program review in the next cycle. You know, we're in the middle of one right now, but making sure that we're aligning some of the BOTE indicators with our own program review.
That'd be good. And then my last question is in regards to the English language learner students. We talk about how we know you get in front of them at certain points during their enrollment. And do we do any of that in another language, or is all of our education about the resources that we have given in English?
I think it's just being done in English, so it's a jumpstart orientation, which will happen the week of August 19th. It's all in English at this point, but I would imagine once that connection is made with a student, then they're able to kind of pull them aside and maybe get translators or somebody to further assist. So we're not really sure what we're going to find until we get there that day. Those are kind of the first time the program, all the students come for a program and are together. And then we're going to have the AWO, Access and Workforce Opportunity, and the Academic Resource Center directors go in, introduce themselves, and that's when I think we're going to see some of those connections. And I think they're going to also assist with a little bit of that technology prep, and that's when you can then converse with those people and learn what the language is.
Yeah, I'm thinking even just like a one-page handout that has just very high level, like here's how you reach us kind of a thing that is maybe in a couple different languages. So if a person was there and wanted to just walk by and pick one up, it wouldn't be like a, you know, an advertisement of, you know, your English isn't great, but it would be like, oh, this is listed in Spanish and this is listed in whatever the other most popular languages are. So I was just an idea.
Yeah, and that's a good suggestion. We can look at that. We're also creating some little business cards that we can discreetly give to some students for the Academic Resource Center that will show them where to go and what kind of things they can do there, because we know there's going to be students that who will not get it at the orientation in the morning and they don't want to be singled out. And so we want to discreetly get them the help they need later. And we think the card might be a nice way to do that.
Yeah, that's a great idea too. Thank you very much.
Yep,
Good
thank you.
information. Anybody else?
Yeah, thanks. One last question. How does the strategic plan inform the annual budget planning process?
Yeah, I believe that it does. And in Watermark, we do have an entry for that each person can put in. Unfortunately, they rarely fill that piece out, the budget requests. But I think that's an area for improvement where we could put their requests in there, and then we could compile that report and move it forward. But I believe that the campus leadership does a good job at taking that probably to cabinet and asking for things. But again, there's room for improvement in that piece.
And then this is probably in your 80 pages, but I'm just going to ask, how often are you utilizing the student satisfaction survey? And then what from that gets implemented into some of these goals to make sure you're crafting things for your students?
So we give the one from RNL, Ruffalo, Noel Levitz, every other year, and we gave it this past spring. So we got those results in June that we can now parcel out. The year before, we did our own homegrown one because we had been doing these student ones every other year with RNL, but we wanted to just target a few other questions. So we do have that one that we ran through our vendor called Anthology. They do our course evaluations, but they can also do other just surveys that you want. So we do have student satisfaction data from the past 2 springs that we can use for this as well coming forward. So we are, we've got all that data now. We just need to go in and kind of filter it in different student groups, demographic groups. We added questions. I worked with Marcella and Director of Student Success in adding a few questions in there for us to address some things that we hadn't been getting information on in the past.
Is demographics now part of that? I know last year it was maybe not highlighted.
Excuse me?
Like giving a demographic of the students? Is
Right.
that a part
We
of
did add a couple additional demographic questions in that particular survey. And then I think there's some data that also comes from the student application And then I'm not sure if there's still plans to do this like a survey during student success this fall, but that might not capture all students. And we worked really hard on that student survey last spring. We had probably about a 27% return rate, which, they're saying if you get 25, you're lucky. So we had a little bit over that. I wish it were higher.
Yeah.
But we'll do the best we can. And if we need to do additional ones outside of that every other year, we'll continue to do that to get the data we need.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, can I get a motion and a second to acknowledge the strategic plan update, please?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That is acknowledged. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
the report. Anything else before we adjourn?
Yeah, I just want to take one moment just to publicly acknowledge before the board just the great work and my appreciation to the team for helping with my transition. Being here a week and a half now, they've made it very smooth, both these last 10 days, but also the couple months before it. So they have been extremely helpful, and I just want the 5 of you to know just the great work that they did and that they are doing, not just helping me, but just in general. So I really appreciate it all. So I just want to publicly say thank you.
Thank you. Good job. All right, well, can I get a motion and a second for adjournment, please?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
I did that right over.
You did. We are adjourned.